This is what we are making today. It is a grilled gem lettuce salad with an anchovy vinaigrette, my own lemony garlic breadcrumbs, and shaved Parmesan, something that you will be incorporating into your diet. Alligator snappy, it's irresistible, I promise. Hey everybody, Andrew Zimmern here. Welcome to AZ Cooks, Instagram live edition, except this week we're not live. I am away on a super special secret mission. I can't tell you what it is, but let's just say I'm making television, right? Things are back. The country has opened back up to a certain extent, and I am back with it. So, thanks to our wonderful sponsors at Shun Cutlery and at Florida Canya Rum, we are coming to you with a taped as live edition that includes your questions, great conversation, and why? Because we have so many of your questions from the last time that we went live. We're going to answer a couple more of those, and I'm going to show you one of my favorite and easiest dishes in the whole world, and that is a Caesar salad made with gem lettuce, except I compose it a different way. A couple weeks ago on my Instagram, I posted a picture of a tableside classic Caesar salad, the way it was made in the old days at Cesar's in Tijuana. One of the variations on the Caesar salad that's become very popular over the years is the grilled Caesar salad, where you take heads of lettuce. In this case, I'm going to do it with little heads of gem lettuce. Now, what I'm going to do, and these have been trimmed up pretty darn nicely, but I'm just going to take off the end, and it's okay if some of those outer leaves fall apart, and I'm going to slice this in half, and I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil. I love keeping olive oil in a squeeze bottle for just this reason. And I'm just going to smear that all over, put a little bit of salt on it, just so that it's seasoned. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over direct high heat on my grill. Now, how long you keep this on direct high heat has a lot to do with how hot your grill is. Now, in this small little ceramic oven, little ceramic grill, I have Binchotan charcoal. It cooks at a ridiculously high temperature, about 900 degrees. Your typical charcoal burns at about 6 or 650. It's very smokeless, it's very clean, and all we want to do is put char marks on that lettuce. I don't want to cook it. I'm not making steamed cabbage dish here, right? So all I want to do is check this after a second. You can see I don't have enough char on there, right? So we are going to keep that on there for a second. Now, what are reasons that we wouldn't have enough char on there? The big one is the presence of moisture. You can't create char or browning in the presence of moisture. So you have to cook this for long enough for the lettuce, the exterior there to dry out and char a little bit while it's still crunchy and cool on the inside. I keep pushing this down so it makes better contact with the grill surface, but it also lets me know that the top is still cold, right? I put it on a new spot on the grill so that it might absorb some of the super heat and char from the grill in a new spot because it's already been marked in the center. So let's take another look. And by the way, I'm not blackening it. That's perfect. So we're going to take these off and we're going to move them to our plate. Now I'm going to leave this small one whole, and I'm actually going to slice down this, I'll just call it the larger half. And this is one portion. And I'm going to turn it towards you so that you can see it. This is one portion of this salad, right? Now, what's the point of grilling the lettuce? The aroma is unbelievable. You also get two textures on the lettuce. You get that cold, crisp bottom, and you're going to have a room temperature charry flavor to it that is unmistakable. And there is a flavor component to grilled lettuces that I absolutely love. Endive, radicchio, tight heads of leaf lettuce work very well. Don't grill butter lettuce. That's loose with big, floury, wet leaves, just gonna fall apart, right? But anything smaller than that will be absolutely fine. Now, let's make our dressing. I wanna start out by putting a little bit of pepper into my mortar and pestle. If I'm doing a mortar and pestle, I wanna grind the pepper in it before I start, as opposed to grinding it. It's more aromatic, and I am making the dressing in this mortar and pestle. You can use a bigger mortar and pestle if you like, but my big one, well, it's over on the other side. Make sure you use one that has a smooth interior and doesn't have that coarse stone interior. All right, let's get a spoon and add some of our other ingredients. A little bit of mustard, just a tiny little bit, is going to help our emulsification. I'm going to add my anchovies, and I'm going to hold back a little bit of their oil. I'm going to add that as things go on. And so I now have mustard and a solid in there, the anchovies. So again, don't just start stirring. Break it with a little pop or pound, and then use the shape of the mortar with the pestle to puree the mustard and the anchovy together, right? Really nice emulsion. Put a little bit of salt in there. And then what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna want a little bit more of an acid, just a little bit of lemon juice. And I want to add a little shallot. Now, sometimes people like to cube this at the end. Sometimes they like to pulverize the flavor right in there. I'm a big fan because I learned how to do this technique of dressings not in a Western kitchen, but in an Eastern one when I was in Malaysia learning how to do sambals 17, 18 years ago. And all of their pureed sauces were done in a mortar and pestle. Just getting a little bit of this paper off. All right, now, I want the mortar and pestle to do the pounding job, but I want to help it along, right? So I'm going to throw in just a little bit of shallot. And I'm going to do the same thing that I do with the peppercorns and with the anchovies. I'm just going to pound it to break it up. That way it's not going to jump out of there. And then puree it, pound it, emulsify it into my dressing. Now, do you remember that little half teaspoon of oil that I put in there? Well, if you notice, I still have some pounding to do on the shallots, that oil has emulsified into the mustard and lemon juice. Why is that important? Well, I've started, that's the start, the beginning of the emulsification. And if you want emulsification to take place, think of making a homemade mayonnaise with an egg yolk, you need to start the emulsification off the right way. So the fact that this isn't breaking means that my emulsification, when I start to add my oil, is going to be super, super proper. So again, some oil in here. And I'm just squeezing a tablespoon at a time. You can have someone pour it in there for you if you have someone that you're cooking with while you hold on to it. But believe me, if you just do a tablespoon or so at a time, maybe a teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons if it's your first time, you can get your emulsification to hold.
Can you blend it? Like, what do you do?
You can blend it, but if you're making a small amount of dressing, you may want to use a whisk attachment on an immersion blender, a stick blender. A good stick blender is now under $100, so it's a really, really fun component. Here's the problem with a stick blender, and you may have seen this online if you love to cook. There's a huge kerfuffle a couple of months ago about people making emulsified olive oil dressings in a blender or with a standing mixer, that it got bitter. That when you mix things that have water in them, and there's water in the anchovies, there's water in the lemon juice, there's water in the vinegar, right? With olive oil, it gets bitter. Perhaps you've tasted that yourself in some of your dishes. I don't know. But it is a real problem, and it's why, you know, I love my mortar and pestle. It's fun. It feels more like cooking. And I don't want to get too like out there, but this is the way the ancients made so much food. So there's something about doing it this way in our fast-paced convenience culture that I just love. I'm just going to emulsify a little bit more. Bet you didn't know you could make an emulsification with a stick. All right, that is really nice. And now, I'm just going to make it a little thinner. I'm going to add my lemon juice. I'm going to add some red wine vinegar.
Can you put it in the fridge after?
Of course you can. This keeps for at least a day or two. And if you make a big batch, what I would encourage you to do is when you get down to the last bit, just use it as a marinade for vegetables or chicken or something before it goes on the grill. Fold it into eggs as an omelet. So many different things that you can do with that.
Does the kind of anchovies matter?
Well, anchovies from the can or from the tin are fine. Anchovies from a glass jar, the more premium ones, are even better. Whole anchovies, head on, bone on, salted from the Italian market, or I order them online from Gustiamo that gets them direct from Italy, are my anchovies of choice. I just happen to love those anchovies. They get more expensive as they go up, but they're totally worth it. I find that the tinned anchovies in sauces or things you're going to cook with, like if I make a big chicken stew and I want to add a little bit of umami and piquancy, a few anchovies in the sauce really matters. They break up. I don't use the expensive ones for that. But let me just show you here, that emulsification has held, right? The oil and the vinegar have not separated. So all I'm going to do is now take my dressing, and remember, this is very strong. Look at those little pieces of shallots. So you don't need a heck of a lot. I want to taste the grill and the lettuce, right? But you want to make sure it's coated, and of course, it's always nice to put a little bit around the plate so that people can swoosh their do some swooshing with a piece of bread or a piece of lettuce from the inside. An odd number, there's 5 Parmesan curls. Let's do some skinnier ones, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who doesn't like Parmesan with their salad? And then to me, the best part about this, on our website, we have my lemony garlic breadcrumbs. I make a big batch. And you people are always hearing me say, make a big batch, store them in your freezer, because you need to use them for dishes exactly like this. And I always have these on hand. This will go into a quart container into my freezer, and then I can break them out anytime I want for a dish like that. I've made this dish a gazillion times. I would insist before you season yours, taste it. Oh my God.
What do you serve this with? Chicken?
That is so good. Oh, that's a really great question. What to serve it with? Well, here's the issue. When I'm serving this, I'll do this as a first course salad, and then maybe poached fish, something not grilled, right? Or roast fish in the summertime. I don't want to do grill on grill on grill flavors if I'm coursing food at my house, but you know how in hotels and lots of restaurants they're like, Caesar salad, would you like chicken, shrimp, or salmon with that? I have a version of this where I grill chicken and serve pieces of it like chicken legs or chicken thighs alongside this, where this is the vegetable component to a one-course meal for the family that's absolutely delicious. This is very versatile. It goes with everything. I would encourage you to try it. If you want to do it with fish, do it with a roasted fish, right? Don't go grill on grill on grill unless you're going to make one plate for everyone.
Can you use this vinaigrette in other salads?
Oh yeah, I mean this is an anchovy vinaigrette. Once you taste it, you will fall in love with it. I can't explain it any better than this. You know, a lot of Caesar dressings are very anchovy focused. Vicky is not only allergic to anchovies, she can't stand the taste of them, but do we have an EpiPen, Madeline? We do have an EpiPen, but as always, my Spanish guinea pig, just take a taste of that and let people know. This recipe is more acidic than it is anchovy-ish, right?
Yeah. Super
So
good.
I
EpiPen?
She's so funny. If you see the camera go down, call the... Anyway, what I do with this is I will use this as a dressing for a new style of chicken salad. I will use it as a dressing for leftover grilled fish. I'll use it as a recipe. I love this with pork chops. I know it sounds crazy, but pork chops off the grill with this, and something sweet like roasted or grilled peppers or eggplant, right? Vegetables that have higher glycemic level are fantastic with this. Roasted tomatoes and pasta with this, just drizzled on it like a quick sauce, are absolutely wonderful. So it goes with a lot of things.
What is your go-to salad?
My go-to salad, the one that I make the most at home, I've taken a lot of pictures of it over the years, is just tomatoes, cucumbers, red onion, basil, mint, olive oil, lemon juice, red wine vinegar, feta cheese, and dry oregano. Now, during the summertime, you can flip back on my Instagram, I do the same thing. I downplay the mint and I throw sliced plums and nectarines and peaches in there, especially the ones that you get that are not quite perfectly sweet, right? And you kind of need to use them up so they don't all sweeten or rot at the same time. And I love slicing those sort of slightly more tart stone fruit into that salad. I make a version of that every 2 nights at home.
Do you have a favorite episode of Family Dinner?
I don't have an episode of Family Dinner that's my favorite because I love all the families equally. Although there were a couple of stories that really profoundly affected me. We were with a family that owns a farm in north central Minnesota, and the wife of the family had come over from another country, and when she emigrated to the United States, she had 7 changes of clothes, 1 for each day of the week in her suitcase. That was it. Another grandmother, this time from Iowa, had come up from Mexico and left her children behind and worked for 2 or 3 years while her kid, there was an abusive husband involved, put the kids in the care of her sister, and then when she could afford it, brought them to the United States. Both of those affected me deeply. I mean, we shot them almost a year ago, and I still think about them all the time because those are super strong, amazing women who are immigrants to this country who, against all the odds, survived, and both not only survived, they thrived. They have businesses, they have raised families, they pay taxes, and without getting too crazy on the hitting you over the head with my civics hammer, I think are a great example of our greatest strength here in this country, which are people, and we are a nation of immigrants. So I like to pull all that together into one hearty stew. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Instagram next Thursday, 5 p.m. More incredible food, more of your questions, more big thanks to our sponsors, Schoon Cutlery, and the good folks at Florida Cognac Rum, the world's most sustainable rum, I might add. Please, online, you will find this recipe. Please watch this video on YouTube if you're just catching a bit of it. Please tell your friends to subscribe and, of course, always be as good to each other as you are capable of. Try a little harder every day. I sure am. These times deserve it. They require it. We all need a little more kindness in the world. See you next time.